All right, you guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Splice Charters Podcast. Captain Cody Davis here with you guys again, as always. Welcome all of you that have been following this thing since the beginning, following my channel since it started, and welcome any of you that might be new here. For those of you that don't know, my name is Cody Davis. I'm a full-time guide out here on a world-famous Lake Okeechobee, and I try to make some fishing content here and there when I can. Speaking of content, I just want to go ahead and apologize to all of you for the lack of content again that I have not been putting out on a regular basis like I've been trying to. And I mean it when I say it. It is definitely not not been from lack of effort. I don't know. It's been a grind. I mean, here's the deal, guys. You know, I primarily fish Lake Okeechobee. You guys know that, and I've been out, I think, 4 times now with the intentions of filming and creating content, and things have just not been going my way. And I think I sound like a broken record when I say that stuff, because I feel like I've been hinting that for really the past few months. But realistically, I mean, it's been a grind. I mean, we're in the month of September, which is arguably one of the toughest months, really anywhere in the country, but definitely for down here on Okeechobee and really anywhere in Florida. And on top of that, the lake is just in a really weird state and condition right now. Last year, the beginning of September was good because the lake was super low. We had a late wave of bluegill move up. We had stable conditions, which meant we had lots of clean water. And honestly, right now, the lake's complete polar opposite of that. The water actually doesn't look bad in most places. It looks a lot better than I thought it would. But there's really no bluegill activity, and the lake is extremely high. It's at 15 and a half foot, so which isn't good. It's horrible for the lake, and then on top of that, it's still 6,000 degrees outside. So it's been tough, and I've been out a number of times, just trying to, like I said, produce content and just catch some fish. And it just hasn't gone my way. And also, 2 of those times, or at least one of those times, I was actually in a tournament. I guess we'll just jump into kind of what'll end up being a quick fishing report. Me and Breezy fished the Refuse to Sink tournament out of Clewiston this past weekend. Great tournament to basically bring awareness to suicide awareness here, or just in general, but primarily for here in the town of Belglade, Clewiston, Pahokee, just all the towns located here in the Glades. And it's ran by a great group of people for a great cause, obviously. And we had an awesome turnout for a September event. I think we had like 65 boats, and it took 23.5 pounds to win that deal, I believe. So congrats to Paul and Paul. They're actually 2 buddies of mine who ended up winning the event and kind of blew it away. I think they almost had 24 pounds. They're in the process of learning the lake, and they did an awesome job. I mean, they found fish. Actually, Paul found fish to win his club event a couple of weeks ago. He practiced for this event on a complete different area of the lake, didn't find anything, so tournament day said, the hell with it, we're going back to those fish I had earlier, previous month, and they ended up winning the tournament. They settled down, they fished clean, and they caught a ton of fish. There was a few boats around them. At the end of the day, I ended up, where they were as well, and they just put the hammer down. Outfished everybody, fished their strengths, and fished clean, and that's what it takes to win out here on Okeechobee. My buddies Nick and Matt ended up getting second with 20 pounds, and they hadn't been on the lake in a couple months, and they just really went junk fishing their strengths. It worked out for them. They ended up with a nice bag, got second, and then there was a number of like 17 to 19 pound bags, and that big bite was so key. What it seemed like is those guys that had that, 17 to 19 pounds, they had one really big fish, one good one, and then 3 small ones. And me and Breezy ended up with probably around 11 pounds. We just, I don't know, we threw our fish back. And when it comes down to it, we didn't really have much to go off of because, like I had mentioned to you guys, it's been very tough for me. I practiced for 2 days and really didn't find much of anything. Then I had to run 2 back-to-back trips on back-to-back days, fish different areas of the lake. One day we really didn't get a bite till our last spot, and it wasn't really anything to write home about. So it's been difficult. So going into the event, we really didn't have anything to go off of. We had a little starting spot, which we weren't even sure would pan out. It did. We did get a lot of bites. I ended up getting lucky and catching one, I don't know, 3 3/4 pounds there and a couple small ones. And then we just went junk fishing and just ran all around the lake, which I've told you guys numerous times. For the most part, that's not how you win on Okeechobee. You really need to find an area that you can settle down in, big enough for that you don't really have to sit in one exact spot. You can kind of just meander and slink around, as Greg Hackney says, but you don't really leave the area, which is how Paul ended up winning the event. But with that being said, this time of year is one of the few times times of year or condition wise where the run and gun method can work in your favor. That's really what Matt and Nick did, because I saw them running all over the lake. And you pick one up here, do this, go over here and catch a couple. And especially when the lake's fishing tough, that can come out on top, that particular approach. But that's not really how I like to do. It's funny, that's actually how I like to fish. Is just junk fishing, having a milk run. But I never succeed or come out on top on that. Any events I ever do really good in, it's finding an area, a key spot, or maybe two that you can alternate between and settle down in. So we didn't have that. Breezy caught one about 4.5 pounds at our last spot, and we had 3 small ones. So we had a 3 3/4, 4.5, maybe would have went 5, and then some small. We probably had 11. Maybe we had 12 pounds. I don't know, but either way, it was a great event. We had a great turnout. It was fun to fish. Breezy hasn't fished a tournament in a long time, so it was cool to just get out there and know what I don't need to be looking at for the next few weeks. But I've been trying to film every time I've been out solo, and even in the tournament, I had the cameras rolling, but just nothing's come to. And like I've said before, and I'll say it again. Some of my favorite fishing content that's out there on the interwebs anymore is some of the stuff they don't even hardly catch anything, or maybe they don't have a bite, but they narrate the day very well. They kind of walk you through the process, and when it comes down to it, I'm just not good at that, I feel like. I mean, now if I'm catching fish, I feel like I can do it, but when it comes down to it and I have nothing at the end of the day, the weather isn't helping either, okay? And I don't want to make excuses, but when it's 145 degrees out and no wind and burning sun, my cameras are overheating. I'm trying to talk you through the day, and it's like, I don't even know what's going on. It's hot. It's 100 degrees. It's not good. Now, when it starts cooling off, I'm not in a rush, and then maybe it'll end up different. But for now, I just haven't been doing a good job. So if I'm not catching fish, I really have no content to put out. But we are getting into fall. Conditions are going to start changing. The fishing is going to start changing. So we're going to hopefully have some more fishing content coming for you guys. I'm going out tomorrow. I don't know when I'm posting this podcast or this video here, but I'm going to go out and do some fishing tomorrow. Made it in my mind. I'm going to go do what I want to do, fish how I want to fish. I might not get a bite. I might catch 25 pounds. I don't know, but hopefully it's the second one so you guys see a video. And I just decided to hop on here. I've had a crazy morning. I snook fished till about 2 a.m. this morning. That didn't go well either. Saw tons of fish. Caught a couple. Caught like 120-pound tarpon, which I wanted no part of. But I can't control what eats my swim bait and then has me pinned with 100-pound leader, and I can't break it off. And I think I missed one short snook or something. But I went snook fishing, got home, woke up, got Lake ready for daycare. Breeze took him to daycare. I went out to put my tackle in the boat for tomorrow. Noticed I had 2 flat tires. Which, serious note, anyone out there owns a tire shop, anyone works for a tire company that's looking to sponsor somebody, I am your guy. I will partner with a tire company that is dependable. But here's the deal. I put a lot of miles on tires because I'm a fishing guide, right? Especially trailer tires. Um, but I have the worst luck with batteries and tires. My father-in-law, my wife we pulled 4 chunks of metal out of one tire today, and it's a back tire on my trailer. I've got plugs in everything. I don't know where. I just find it. I guess I have magnets in my tires because if it's shrapnel on the road, it ends up in my tires. It's crazy. So I had 2 flats. My spare. It was just so I had to do tire fixer uppers today. In the middle of it, we had a lady drive down to pick up one of our baby donkey we were selling, so we had to move some farm animals. It's hot out. I'm tired. I finally came in, showered, sat down to do some book work, schedule some trips, and said, what the heck, I guess I'll hop on here and just talk to the camera for a little while so I can post some sort of content. As far as these podcasts go, I know I'm really trying to kind of schedule some stuff out to where I could have some guests on because there's a lot of you that say you like this, say you like me just talking, and I guess I kind of like it, but honestly, I'm kind of bored with it. I want to have actual conversations with people. One you guys can look forward to is my good buddy DJ Timms called me the other day just because he was bored driving to Fort Myers. He was going to Fort Myers for pick up some flies for somebody because he's actually going to the Amazon on a peacock bass trip for 9 days. And it's not just going to be a fly trip. He's getting custom rods built, going down there to throw the big wood choppers and everything. And we were talking. I said, this is what I want you to do. When you get home from your trip, it's going to be like the 1st of October, I think. I want you to text me that you're home. I don't want to see a picture. I don't want to hear anything about your trip. I want you to come to my house and we're going to sit down and do a podcast because there's so many unknowns, right? I think like as bass fishermen, everybody remembers when that was the new big thing. Like everyone throwing those big topwaters in the Amazon, catching those big peacock bass, and it was like, oh my God, that's like a dream bucket list trip. And it still is for most people, but now as we're gotten later on in the fishing industry, it's a lot more accessible now. It's somewhat expensive, but maybe not as expensive as a lot of people would think. There's a bunch of different operations to get you there. And like I said, it's more accessible to people now. And I think some people are just on the fence. Like, is it as easy? Is it worth it? There's a lot of unanswered questions, and I'm one of those people. Although I do have a lot of friends that do go down there quite regularly. But DJ's like, he's like me. He lives here he lives in Clewiston. He's a fishing guide. We're kind of on the same speed. So I'd love to hear it from him and how his experience went and the fishing and everything like that. He is going with a lot of you probably know Captain Shane Purcell. He's been guiding down in the Florida Everglades, Lake Okeechobee, and just the South Florida waterways for forever. Good buddy of mine, I consider him, and he's definitely someone I look up to because he's been doing this guide thing on his own for as long as I can remember. And he's an awesome guy. He actually invited me for a spot on this trip, but I'm just unable to go. But DJ's going, so we're going to have him on as a guest. A lot of you that have fished with me probably know DJ. You probably heard me talk on the phone with him. We probably fished around him on Lake Okeechobee, maybe down in the Everglades. Super cool dude. And yeah, I'm excited for that. It'll be something different, and it'll be news for you guys and for me. And it might answer some unanswered questions that you might have if you're ever skeptical. Skeptical? Is that the word? I feel like I'm saying that word wrong. I'm a skeptic. I don't know. You guys know what I'm trying to say. About going down there. I have a lot of friends that say it's no big deal. It's an awesome time. But when DJ gets back, we're going to... So if you have any questions for DJ, rods, equipment, bugs, other species besides peacock bass, what can you look for? Leave them in the comments, and I'll probably screenshot them, and then I'll try to bring them up whenever he comes in. I want to set something up with Raymond from Roland Martin's Marina. He's also the city commissioner, I believe, city commissioner of Clewiston or Henry County. I don't know. I'm messing it up. He's someone important over there. And when it comes to fighting the battle for Lake Okeechobee and the spraying and combat the spraying and all that, he's without a doubt the best person we have. He goes to war with these people. He knows what he's talking about. He does his research. He does his homework, and he does it in a very professional way. And I think the world of Raymond. He's an awesome. I consider him a good friend. He keeps me in the loop with things that are happening. He takes people out on the lake, and I'm not a Roland Martin's guide. He's a general manager of Roland Martin's Marina. I'm not, but this has nothing to do with that. We're all fighting for the same cause, and he's, like I said, I consider Raymond a buddy of mine. He's an awesome person, very passionate about what he does. I'd like to sit down with him, have a podcast with him, and just talk about the condition of the lake and what needs to be done. Want to sit down with Mike Krause and talk with him. Might have Kelly on. Might just sit down with Kelly and just drink some cheap beer, and you guys can just laugh at him because he's hysterical. So definitely got some more podcasts coming, but really want to get out there and do some more fishing content also. Obviously on Lake Okeechobee, but any of you, I know a lot of you watch my content and you don't really fish Okeechobee very much. You fish maybe Estapoga, the Kissimmee chain, Everglades. I don't know. You fish we're in South Florida. We have all different types of fisheries, headwaters, Garcia. Something I think would be cool to do is just go to one of these new bodies of water that I really have absolutely no experience on and just shoot a video of the day. How I would approach your body of water. Coming from Okeechobee, what looks good to me. Because one thing I picked up when I went and fished Lake Kissimmee with Garrett that day was some of the stuff we were fishing, I would never in a million years stop my boat on to fish on Okeechobee. And which is so crazy to me because, the top of the lake is right here and Kissimmee is like right here. It's not far. The neighboring lakes, and they fish totally different. The fish get on different things. They react differently. So I just think that might be a cool video. Just go to a random lake and go fish it. And I might not catch anything, or I might do very well. So if there's anywhere you guys would like to see me trailer my boat to and go fish, leave it in the comments. Be reasonable. I'm not going to St. Clair to go catch smallmouth, but something around here that you guys would be interested in seeing me fish, let me know. So that's some stuff I'm trying to do. I try to do some keys videos, guys, and stuff, but one thing I learned, it is very hard, I think I already said this, to film saltwater content by yourself with GoPros. It's difficult. A lot of my friends that do it, kudos to them. So like my buddy Victor, who Land Shark Outdoors on YouTube, he just hired a cameraman. It's difficult, to do, and I just wasn't happy with the way things came out, and the fishing was very slow all the other times. So probably just going to mainly stick to the bass thing and the inshore snook and tarpon things as well. But that's what I got coming down the pipe. So hopefully I film a good fishing episode for you guys tomorrow. A lot of you liked my forward-facing sonar video. Got a lot of traction with that. Had a lot of great points. A lot of people. I'm not on either side with that. For one, also, I just want everyone to know that I don't care one way or the other. I just don't. I don't have a particular side. And there was a lot of people that jumped down my throat and basically called me an idiot. There were people that agreed with me. And I'm not right or wrong. I don't pick a side whatsoever. But then there was the same thing I was trying to push on everybody. There were people that left comments that they didn't get the point of the video, I don't think. I don't know. Like some people really think the fans are super important, which they are. I'm one. I'm a fan. All right, I watch live. But it's almost like people make it seem like the fans of the sport are the bosses. And yeah, you're going to do what we say, you're going to do what we want to watch. But that's not the sport I want to watch. I want to watch the best in the sport do what they need to do to catch fish. I don't want them to alter it for me. I don't alter it for you guys. If I'm in a tournament, if I'm fishing the Roller Martins Marine Series Championship, 2-day championship, which is like the biggest tournament team trail we have with Kelly, in that moment, I don't say, man, like if Kelly calls me and says, hey, man, I'm catching them pretty good on a Carolina rig. Kelly catches the crap out of him on a Carolina rig on the lake in some areas. I don't say, and he says, I caught 26 pounds and shook off 5 more, and then I went back, today and I'm shaking them off. They're here. I don't say, well, man, that's boring to watch on camera. We need to go flip and throw a frog. There's no difference between that and watching forward facing sonar. And I forget who it was that said it. Maybe it was Kyle Welcher. I was listening to a podcast with him, and he made a lot of very good points also, where he said there's no difference between watching an angler look at his screen and catch him on forward facing than there is watching a guy look at his GPS to make sure he's lined up on that mark throwing a deep diving crankbait. There's no difference. And I just don't want the sport, I don't want the top anglers in the sport to alter their plan of attack to keep people sitting on their couch happy. And I had a lot of people say, oh, well, people do care about the couch. Well, now let me say this. If all 100 Elite Series anglers say, listen, and they truly mean this, they're not just getting bullied into saying something. They say, listen, ratings are down. If the ratings go down on live, that's less ammunition. That's the wrong term, but I can't think of the term right now. We have to use towards our sponsors to maybe make more money, right? So if I go to Gambler Lures, right? If I'm on the Elites and I call Val and I say, hey, I'm going to fish the Elites or Arc or whoever, some bait I use, and I say, and I need this much money. I'm asking for this much money, and I'll put you on my jersey, I'll put you on my wrap, I'll rep your product. And where you used to be able to go and say, and there's 9 events a year, and I'm just throwing a number, I have no idea how many people watch and tune in. There's 30,000 people watching every event. And now it's all the way down to like 8,000 because of forward-facing sonar. And I'm not getting as much money from my sponsors in return for that. And I don't know if they even work that into their deals. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there hypothetically. And all the anglers as one big group say, you know what, I think it's just best for our interest in the long term to just not use it. That's great. Don't use it then. But what I do have a problem with is for the people that it doesn't affect their livelihood. They're just tuning in. Or competitors, half of those anglers in that 100 group, there's half that love forward facing and half that don't. If those half complain or protest or don't vote for it and these people do vote for it and it goes away, I'm not a fan of that either. And it's because, like I said, when you go back to it, there's people that are not good at throwing a vibrating jig. There's people that are not good at flipping. There's people that are not good at drop shotting. There's people that are not good at Carolina rigging. There's people that are not good with forward-facing sonar. But you can't take forward-facing sonar away because you're behind and you can't deduct and penalize the anglers that picked up and adopted the technology early on and learned it. You can't do that. It was available to you, just like it was available to everybody else, and you chose to not learn it. This is a true story, okay, that I'm about to tell you, and this is going to sound like exaggerated to an extent, but I promise you, it's not. Growing up on the pier is going to be a saltwater story, but just hear me out. It coincides. growing up on the pier, it's all we did, right? We fished the pier. And we used to fish a rig. Primarily, I grew up on Deerfield Beach fishing pier, and our number one targeted thing was kingfish. We liked catching the biggest, nastiest kingfish we could catch off of this pier. Okay, the way we primarily fished, I'm going to draw this out for you guys. We had our 10, 11, 12-foot rods, 25-pound mono, to an 8-ounce pyramid weight, sometimes a 10-ounce. Just picture that. It was 25-pound test, bimini twisted, double, tied to a swivel with a bead. A bead, another swivel, and that pyramid weight on a piece of 6-7-inch line. You could throw that pyramid weight literally 150 yards, 200 yards, literally, with the equipment we were using. So picture being on the end of that pier and launching that thing dead east as far as you can, 180 yards, and it hits the water, it sinks to the bottom, it's stuck. The reason we used a pyramid weight is because the top of it was a square, it was flat, and then when you pull it, it would dig in and grip that sand, and then if it was rough, sand would cover it. So it, it was pretty hung and snug in the sand. Okay, so now you got your rod leaning on the pier railing like this, and you have a line that's taut going out all the way 180 yards out. What we would do is we would take a rig, piece of wire, a live bait hook with a stinger rig, and we would hook our goggle eyes, blue runners, sardine, ballyhoo, whatever it might be, hold the bait, hook it in the back, treble hook in the anal fin or up under the back. You have a piece of wire, all braided to a piece of 40-pound fluorocarbon, 3 feet of that to a snap swivel. Now keep in mind, your line is your line is out, your bait is out, and it's tight with no bait on it. We would then take the snap swivel, snap it to the line, and that bait would zip line all the way down to the water. Okay. Now you could stay on top of the water if it wished, or it could swim the whole 180, 160, 150 yards out to that weight, and your bait would go cover water. Sometimes it'd sit on top for 20 minutes, and then it'd go all the way out to that weight, and it would come back. So it's covering water. When the kingfish or the cobia, whatever it was, would eat the bait, you would have to reel until that snap swivel, you reeled that weight with that bead until it hit and got tight with that snap swivel, and now you're tight to the fish. So we'd fish high-speed reels, be able to pick up line real quick, get tight on the fish, and you basically babied the fish, brought them in. It was called a trolley rig. Great rig. Couple problems. One, you're fighting the fish with an 8-ounce pyramid weight. So if you get a cobia or something, or even a kingfish, head shake violently when you get them out of the water. You're holding their head up so they don't get you under the pier waiting for a gaff. That 8-ounce weight is 4 or 5 feet above them, and every time they head shake, that thing's bouncing around, break lines, pull hooks, things like that. Also, sometimes if you threw 180 yards, 160 yards, and you slid that bait down and he ate the bait as soon as it touched the water, you have to reel in 130 yards of line fast to get tight to the fish. And on top of that, you could only fish somewhat of a big bait. Once the bait got too big, when it hit the water, it would actually drag the 8-ounce pyramid weight and tangle up everybody else on the pier. Okay, I kind of went off on a long tangent with that. You guys didn't even need to hear that. So what we started doing, we started using what they do on the Carolina coast called a double rod trolley, where we would essentially throw a damn grappling hook out on a rod, chuck it out there as far as we can, same thing, get that thing hung. I mean, it would take 3 of us walking the rod back to pull and break this anchor free. We'd put the rod up in the rod holder and reel it down. So it was like a guitar string. And then we would we had makeshift, almost like a clip, like a kite clip, that we could set for tension and how tight we wanted it. And we would actually clip that to another rod and do the same rig, but only this time when a fish would hit it, you would break the clip, okay? And now you're fighting the fish on a flat line, a straight line with no weight, no interference from a weight, but also with that big grappling hook, we were literally fishing 4 and 5 pound Spanish mackerels whole on top. And you could keep them on top, whereas that other trolley rig, that there's no telling what that bait's going to do. You're at its mercy. With this, you can reel up some, bring the bait up higher, you can let it out more. It was just a much more efficient rig, especially for fishing whole mackerel, bullet bonitas, what have you. And it wasn't even me that started doing it. It was actually my two best friends, Jameson and Logan. And you could not compete on the pier if you were not double rod trolleying in the spring. The mackerels were thick, and if you put out a regular rig with the mackerel, they would pull the weight and everyone was tangled, whereas Logan and Jameson could both just fish these double rods, and if a fish went under, if there was someone else was fighting a fish, you could simply reel your mackerel out of the water. When the fish passed, you could lay it back down. Your landing ratio was damn near 100%, and it was just so much of a natural presentation. And it got to the point where we would almost just take turns reeling kingfish in with this, and some people were now here's the same. This is where I'm going with this. There were people that adopted it. Okay, there were guys that came out there and tried to learn it. They'd come up, hey man, like, what clip are you using? What hooks do you use? What size wire are you fishing on that? How do you make your clip? How do you make your weight? And we were all friends out there anyway, so we would teach people. And then there were other people that were stuck in their ways and did not want to do it. There was literally a gentleman, and it's funny, he may watch my stuff, I don't know, he actually fishes Lake Okeechobee now. But he would be so pissed that these guys would sit out there from 5 a.m. until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We would get out of school and go to the pier, and we'd be out there 20 minutes, and we'd have two 35-pound kingfish on the pier. That quick, because no one was presenting the bait that well. And this gentleman got so upset and would bitch and protest and moan about it that he literally ran for city commissioner. This sounds exact. I could tell you his name. I'm not going to, but this is a real thing. And he would tell us every day, when I win, that is going to be banned. It's going to be banned on this pier. And I'll never forget, I was at the pier and we found out he won. I believe it was my dad texted me that he won. And I'll never forget, he drove from his inauguration or whatever, when he got signed in that he was the city commissioner, drove straight to that pier and slapped a damn sign that there was no double rod trolleying around on that pier. Simply because he didn't want to learn and adopt the new way to do it. Now, did we stop doing it? No. We did it every time. The hell with them. We just, Logan to this day still does it. Actually, the T is broken. But it pissed me off so bad that if you don't want to fish that way, that's fine. Now, some people would argue, well, that's because you have two rods out in place of one. You guys aren't on this pier. All these other people fish 5 rods out at a time. All right. We were very respectful. We taught people how to do it. If people were in the right spots before us, we didn't move people out of the way. He was just bitter and literally ran for city commissioner, and that was his number one objective, was to ban that on that pier. And to this day, it's still banned. I mean, we go out there and do it anyway. It's a city ordinance. But that is what it seems like a lot of these people, and I'm not in the Elite Series, right? I don't know, but that's what it almost feels like to me, is that some of these people just are they don't want to adopt the technology, so then they might bitch about it and try to get it banned. Now, but listening to like Kyle Welcher, he said, yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, when he goes fun fishing, he doesn't even turn it on. It's not really how he wants to fish. But when there's $100,000 on the line for the Bassmaster Classic or Angler of the Year, which he just won, you're at a disadvantage to yourself if you don't have the technology and the things available to you that all your competitors have. So I don't know. I don't know why this is even such a big deal. Like, if you don't like it, don't use it. And if you don't want to watch it, then don't watch it. Remember, I don't have a graph on my boat. I don't even have a GPS. I have nothing. There's not a screen or a button on my boat. I'm a flipper. I'm a frogger. I don't I don't like watching it. I don't watch it. Now, at the same time, though, I know, as I said before, how hard it is to catch fish on forward-facing sonar. I've done it. It's not easy. It is another technique that you have to master and get good at. And that's why there's certain people out there that are much better than others at it. The Ben Millikens, the Josh Joneses, Jacob Wheeler is very good with it. There's certain anglers that are good with it because if you could just put it on your boat and go catch fish, then the people that are complaining about it on the professional level that are getting beat with it wouldn't be complaining about it because they would just go do it. But see, these other anglers got on the boat early and are a year or two more advanced than these other anglers are. And that's not their fault. That's not their fault. I had some people saying, it's going to hurt the population. And at first I said, no, it's not. That's not going to do anything. But I had a gentleman saying that he's watching people in the Great Lakes. I don't fish the Great Lakes. Go out and they meet fish. They keep smallmouth, I guess. And they're just, smallmouth got nowhere to hide. They're just railing them in. Okay. Maybe. Okay, well, then there's something that could happen. But you could say the same thing about live bait. Those same people are going to go throw live bait. If live bait's legal, I don't know if live bait legal on the. I don't know. I know most tournament anglers are practicing catch and release. Same thing here on Okeechobee. But I'm not in Tennessee. I'm not in New York. I'm not in Michigan. So I don't know what happens there. Same thing with walleye. Are people using it for walleye? A lot of people, keep and eat walleye. Is the population going to go down? This is very true, and these are good points. I could see that happening, but I really do think that the fish are going to adapt. They're going to pick up on the pinging. They're going to pick up on baits getting dropped on their head. Snook fishing last night. I don't know how this happens. I don't know how this works. But fish do evolve to learn to avoid certain techniques, certain baits. I remember when I was little, you could pull up to any bridge, whether it was it didn't matter, any bridge with a fender light. And if there was snook in the fender light, if you threw a lipped, a Rapala X-Wrap, a jerk bait, whatever, and you reeled it through that light, you were going to get a bite. They don't really do that anymore. It's almost like you throw the bait in the light and they just descend. They go out. They don't look at it. I see it with snook fishing a lot. See it with bass fishing. We all know how powerful a popping frog is on Lake Okeechobee, but that's where the whole boiling thing comes from. You guys hear me talk about, or any of you locals that fish Okeechobee know what the boil is. When you double tap the poles and you're shaking like, oh my gosh, she's under it because she's boiling it. Why do you think they're boiling it? They're coming up and looking at it and coming away from it because they know something's not right. Whereas before, they used to just probably crush the dang thing, right? But they're smart. That fish may have been caught on a frog when it was 3 pounds and now it's 6. They just do. They learn, and they learn what happens. And if, like I was listening to Ben Milliken say, there's lakes he fishes now that are very pressured with forward-facing sonar, and now if you throw a bait and make it drop in the fish's face, he's gone. The only way to catch him is to throw way past him and bring him by him naturally. Whereas before, you could just throw anything at them and they'd eat it. So I think they are going to adapt. And like I said before also, if this bothers you 3 years from now, you're just going to quit fishing because what's going to come out in 3 years from now, it's going to make this look stupid. Kyle Welcher said it. He remembers when the flasher was witchcraft. People thought that was going to ruin fishing. And I had people leave that in the comments that they remember. It's just the next thing. And I don't know. I don't watch it. And I also said I don't watch smallmouth events. And it's probably because I can't relate to it. Again, it's a featureless lake. A lot of times they are using forward-facing sonar, but even well before they didn't use forward-facing sonar, and they were just using 2D and drop shotting or throwing hair jigs or little swim baits. But I think the reason I don't watch smallmouth is because I can't relate to it. I've never caught a smallmouth. And it's on my bucket list to go catch smallmouth. Garrett Rockamora has been in New York for like 3 months guiding smallmouth, and I wanted to go up there and maybe do it, but I just never got around to it. But I'd love to go take part in it, but I don't care to watch it. Now, that might change if I went out there and physically fished for smallmouth. I had something to relate it to. I have people that tell me they can't stand watching me flip. They say, I just don't care to watch it because they can't, on their bodies of water they live on or they fish on, they have nothing to flip. They have nothing to relate that information to. So I think there's a lot of people that might be against forward-facing sonar, but it's because they don't have it. They don't want to spend the money to buy it. Or even if they had the money to buy it, they live on a body of water in a swamp or a marsh where it's not going to work. And something I think Kyle Welcher said also in the podcast, I think it was on Dave Mercer's podcast, is if you don't like it, don't watch it. But your frogging and flipping and chatterbait and swim jigging tournaments are still going to happen. You're still going to go to Florida. You're still going to go to Okeechobee. You're still going to go to the Sabine River. You're still going to go to stuff like that. And I saw the Elite Series schedule this year, and I think what they did was, which is smart, I think they made it so that you're going to be able to see the people that their strong hand is up shallow fishing to cover, and the people that do want a forward-facing sonar fish are both going to have like an equal advantage. They move the schedule around. They're in different states, different times, and I think it's going to be an even playing field. I think they did that on purpose, which I'm all about. So, a lot of people said, I don't know what that was. A lot of people said that, they better care about what the fans watch, because as soon as the fans stop watching, the sport's going to go away. The heyday of the sport, when the Classic was $500,000, I think the Forest Wood Cup at one point, they paid $1 million one time. Then it was $500,000, and all that, the money was just dumping into the sport. There was no Bass Track. There was no live. There was barely even the TV shows. You got to remember that. You had to physically get in your boat and drive, or get in your truck, trail your boat to the destination where the lake, where the tournament was, get in your boat, drive out, find the angler on the lake, and sit there and eat popcorn and watch. That was your live coverage back in the day. And that's when arguably the sport was the biggest. So, that's when all the money was in. That's when you were, the Classic. And like I said, there was more money bigger payouts back then. So if live goes away, you can't argue that, because we didn't have any coverage at all back then at the heyday of the sport, when all the pros, not the fans, the pros that were actually doing this for their livelihood, would argue that was the heyday of the sport. They were there when money was coming in every way they looked. And now it's getting more difficult. So maybe live's actually hurting it. So I don't know. Whatever they decide to do, I'm going to watch it either way, because I'm a bass nerd. But I don't think they should ban it. I don't think they should. But this is where I stand on it. I don't think they should ban it. I think that's totally wrong. I think that's nitpicking and pointing fingers and arguing. They shouldn't ban it. But I'd love it if they banned it, because I'd get to watch the way I like to fish. Does that make sense? But I don't think they should. But anyway, that's enough on that. But I appreciate all the comments on that, and all of you that tuned in to watch that video. And I appreciate everyone that said that they thought I nailed it on the head. That was cool. But either way, I appreciate you guys watching that. But booking trips, moving on real quick. Here's the deal, guys. I think I've said it before. The best way to book a trip with me is to text me. I get 70 spam calls a day, literally. And they're persistent. They'll call, the same number will call me 9 times. where I answer the phone because I'm like, maybe this is a customer. And I answer the phone and they tell me they have my wife tied up in a car with a gun to her head. And if I don't send $5,000 to this account, they're going to shoot her. And Breezy's sitting on the couch with me. I mean, crazy stuff. It's nuts. It's nuts. So I don't answer my phone if I don't realize the number. If you are a call person, leave a voicemail. And I'm probably going to text you because I like having everything written where I could see it. It's not word of mouth. It's been crazy with people giving me the wrong dates or if someone says, hey man, I want to book you for Wednesday the 16th. Okay, in my mind, 16th's in my mind. I go to my book and I said, you said Wednesday the 16th, but I look at my book and the 16th's on a Monday. Guess what day I'm putting your name in? The 16th on Monday. And now I call you Sunday and you say, no, man, I'm coming Wednesday. See what I mean? Like, I want to be able to look at it. That way I can look at it and say, oh, you said it was a Wednesday, but it's not. It's a Monday. Did you mean Monday the 14th or did you mean Wednesday the 16th? It's just good for me to be in that way. Like today, I texted somebody, booked a trip. I was out in the yard dealing with my flat tire drama. I pinned the text. I came in here. It was right there. What day they wanted to fish, where they wanted to fish, what they wanted to do. I can write it in the book. All right. Now, when you do text me, let me know you're not a bot because I've been having a lot of those too. Chat GPT asking for guide trips, I guess. I don't know what's going on. I mean, it's like just craziness. One guy, I can't even read you the texts I've been getting because there's kids on here. But text, don't just say you'd like to book a trip. Hey, Cody, my name is such and such. I live here. I like your, whatever. I want to go fish Lake Okeechobee. I'm looking at these dates. Do you have them available? That A, makes me get you in the book much quicker, and B, lets me know you're not a robot and actually gets a response back. I have a guy out right now bashing me on social media because he texted me and it just said, hi. And then when I said, how are you? He was spelled everything wrong and I didn't reply. And now he's bashing that I didn't reply. Well, because I don't know if you're real. All right. So that's the best way to do it. Just text me what you're looking for. Or even if you don't know what you're looking for, if you say, I just want to go fishing, when's the best time? I'll have a conversation with you. And then a lot of times I'll say, hey man, let's do this. I'm off tomorrow. You good for a call tomorrow? And I'll give you a ring and we'll have a phone conversation. But the best way to reach me is to text, without a doubt. This isn't a sales pitch. People are starting to book their trips from really now through April. After what happened last April and May, got a lot of people looking to book trips then. February was great last year. So if you're looking to book trips, shoot me a text sooner than later. We'll get you in the book. I do require a $100 deposit to hold a day now. A lot of you that are my buddies that have fished with me once a month, it's not that I don't trust you. It's banking stuff. All right. So I accept Zelle. I'll call you and get a credit card, whatever. It's just what I got to do, basically. Trying to think what else. Pond video. The pond they might be out there digging right now. They were digging yesterday. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys want me to walk you through every inch? What I'm doing right now is I'm kind of waiting till there's some major progress on the pond, showcase it to you guys, because it's hard to tell on the camera, right? I don't want to go out there, oh, they moved this much dirt today. You guys want results. So I'm going to just kind of wait a little while until there's some more progression on the pond, but it's coming out. We made a couple of little tiny changes maybe, but it looks awesome. I'm super excited for this thing to finally get done, get water, and then we can start. We ripped down an oak tree the other day. I'm thinking about putting like the trunks of the oak tree in there, going and getting cattails from the lake. Again, this isn't a lake; it's a small pond. You could cast across it, but I'm just super excited to have it in the yard. I think it's gonna look really cool, and we'll be stocking it and everything. And yeah, so that's that. But I think that's all I got. Any questions you guys have, let me know in the comments. Shoot me a text. If you want to book a trip, let me know. Remember, um, if there's a lake or a body of water you guys would like to see me go and attack, I mean, I'm talking no. I haven't fished another body of water in probably 4 years. So, and I don't, besides Kissimmee with Garrett that day, but I'll go to a lake and just, if you guys would like to see me how I do that, and I'm not a professional at all, but I think it's cool to see how other people approach things. Um, I'm constantly listening to podcasts and videos and things, and you have to listen to 60 videos before you pick up one tidbit of information um, that makes sense to you. And I was listening to one with Mark Daniels Jr. the other day of him what he throws his swim jig with, and this is I throw a swim jig a lot, and I like Mark Daniels Jr. But it's something he's talking about his swim jig, and it's I'm looking at it, I know I'm not going to use that swim jig. I like what I like. He talked about his rod and reel. I'm not going to go out and buy that rod and reel. I like what I like. But he talked about the braid he throws his swim jig on. And he's sponsored by Seagar, so Seagar makes two different braids, like most people do, most companies do. And he messed up on the name. He said, no, not that one. It's this one. And that's very important because this one I throw it on is a 4-carrier braid, which means it has that really coarse, grindy sound to it. Whereas a lot like the 832, okay, suffix 832 I talk about is an 8-carrier braid, which means it's smoother in the guides. Or there's people that make Suffix makes one now. My buddy Justin Jones designed this for Cortland. He's sponsored by Cortland. I have a spool right here. Silent Flip. He gave me some of this to try out. This is a 16-carrier braid. Okay, it's super smooth. 65-pound test. Here's the deal. I've had it on my rod and I've been sucking at fishing. So I can't even honestly say I've caught a fish using it yet. He says he loves it. Says he uses it. I can tell you this, I flipped it a ton. It is quiet. It is super smooth. As far as it being strong, I don't know. I can't give you my honest opinion on it, but he flips it and kicks my ass on the lake, so I'm sure it's strong. At the end of the day, it's 65-pound test, but it's super smooth, which is awesome. But what Mark Daniels said is he likes that 4-carrier braid with throwing a swim jig because your line's laying across the junk, the Kissimmee grass, the tules, whatever it might be. When that fish hits it, when you're pulling that fish, that coarser braid has more of a sawing, action and will actually cut the grass better. Thinking back, I used to fish Suffix Performance braid, which was a 4-carrier braid, and I'm thinking like, man, it was a little rougher in the guides, right? But it did mow the grass down better when I was throwing a Big Easy or a swim jig or even a frog. Now, when it comes to flipping, you want it more effortless. You want a smoother braid, but you might not cut the grass quite as well. Now, where I think the 16-carrier like this makes a big difference is in a mat because it's quieter. And then a lot of times you're closer to the fish and it's just more of a straight up and down approach. So when flipping a jig and stuff, that might make sense. So this stuff is, this isn't a sponsor. Obviously, I'm not sponsored by Cortland, but definitely check out my buddy Justin's line. This thing's pretty cool. I've got it on one rod. I'm probably actually going to go out there and spool this on the other one because it is super smooth and flips great. But like I said, that 4-carrier braid thing, I said that makes a lot of sense. So that's something, in the back of my mind now I'm thinking about. So it's always cool just to listen to people's approach because every once in a while you get a little gem. You just got to go through there's a lot of content out there, guys. And that's my favorite part about doing what I do is having someone in the boat and then when they say, have you ever done this? And it's like, oh, I've never thought of that. Or they have a different hook, or they have a different swim jig, or they have a swim bait they use, and it's something you've never seen. Or a little trick they do. That's the coolest part about fishing. You can always learn. So, I think that's it. I'm tired. Little man's going to be here back from daycare here in a little bit. I'm going to go plug the boat in, and I'm going to go get my cameras charged because I'm going to go try and catch a big bass tomorrow on Okeechobee. So hopefully you guys see that after you see this. Once again, I appreciate each and every one of you guys, tuning into these videos, these podcasts especially. I'm trying to just grow this thing and try to grow this channel as big as I can. And I definitely appreciate all of you that reach out and book trips with me. Still got some hats. Let me know if you guys are interested in hats. I can ship them. And those of you that did text me about them that are local, I will get them to you. So other than that, I appreciate you guys watching. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Wish me luck that I catch some fish tomorrow and I have something to post. Because I'm going to be pissed if I don't. But either way, I'll see you guys later.